Welcome to Beyond Wealth, Success Unscripted with Matt Calnan. Discover the personal drive, professional journeys, and business strategies that have made a real impact. It's success from the inside out.
All right, welcome back, everyone. Today we're chatting with Blaine Sherwood. Blaine is the manager of Imagine the Room, and he has successfully run this family-run operation for the last 10 years and helped to oversee the expansion from Kamloops, BC, now into Southern Alberta and specifically Lethbridge. So welcome, Blaine. And do you want to start maybe by telling us a little bit more about yourself and what you're doing?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt. A little bit about myself. I'm 28 years old. My dad started this business back in the 80s, and I've been doing it my whole life, but doing it, full time for the last 10 years. I have a wife and a 1-year-old daughter, and we're out here in Southern Alberta. We're doing closets. That's what we like doing.
Explain that, Blaine. Like, what exactly do you guys do?
So we specialize in anything that is closet organizer related or anywhere that's storage in your home. So we do walk-in closets, reach-in closets, pantries, wardrobes, mud rooms, laundry rooms, and we've even dabbled in garages as well. Basically we manufacture, design, and install shelving units for homes.
So what's the difference between I move into my house and I get the wire shelving unit? What's the difference between that and what you guys are doing?
So the wire shelving, it serves a purpose. It's very budget friendly. And a lot of builders who are doing a lot of these cookie cutter spec homes, they'll want to do the wire shelving in there because that's the cheapest option, and that's how they can flip a house really quick. How it works with us is we'll work with builders and customers in tandem, and the builders can offer their customers an upgrade package, and that includes our wood shelving. So we can do wire. We have done wire. I don't really advertise it because the wood is what we like to do. And the wood shelving consists of just better designs, better materials, drawers, which you can't do in a wire closet. And it all has a lifetime warranty, which we're happy to back up. So that's basically how it works. There's a difference with budgets. If someone has a little bit of extra money in their budget to spare and they want some proper storage, then the builders or the customers give us a call and we work with them from there.
Yeah. So you said, you're 28, you've been doing it for 10 years. So since you're 18 full time, obviously because it's the family business, you migrated into that. But what was kind of the outside of the family aspect? What was kind of the driver into continuing on in that family legacy type business?
For me, well, it's funny because when I was a teenager, I didn't want to be doing this. Like a lot of teenagers with family businesses that they're working in, they're like, oh, I don't want to do that. And both my brother and I work doing this. My brother runs a lot of the Kamloops operation out there. But yeah, it's funny you asked that because if you asked me as a teenager, it's like, hey, do you want to be, the closet guy? I'd go, absolutely not. I'll do something else. Thanks. And then it's funny, as you start to graduate high school, you start to become an adult, an official adult, and you get thrown into the pit of life, see if you can swim. That's when it kind of dawned on me that it's like, I have skills doing this. I know I'm good at this. I know this product like the back of my hand, and I can make money doing this. So that's how it all kind of compounded. So it all just kind of made sense. I'm like, I'm already on this path, and it's an easy path to take because I know it so well, and there's money to be generated down this path, whereas the other path, it's unknown. There is a lot of risks, obviously, for anyone starting a new career. So that's why I chose to do this.
Yeah. What are some of those challenges being in a family type business? And I think like the rest of your family's still out in BC running the operations out there, right? Like you said, your brother's out there. And what are some of those challenges that come up from that?
When it comes to family business, I find sometimes you have to make time for family, which we do. we joke around a little bit because my brother and I will chat on the phone, and he'll call me in the evening and he'll
Yeah.
be like, "Hey, you want to talk about something not work related?" And we laugh about it, but it's
Yeah.
true. Like, it's a serious thing, right? You need to make time to treat your brother like your brother, or your sister like your sister, or your parents like your parents. And like, I work with my dad still. He's still part of the business as well, very much involved. And there comes times where you can get frustrated with the people that you're working with, and it's just learning to draw that boundary between, I'm getting furious at my family member, which, it's like, oh, I'm allowed to,
Yeah.
as opposed to someone who you'd work with. Obviously, that would be incredibly inappropriate. Um, so yeah, I'd say that's one of the biggest challenges, though I make it sound worse than it is. It's pretty nice for us. So
Yeah. Do you have set discussion points like around the Thanksgiving or the Christmas dinner table about what you're allowed and not allowed to talk about?
no, we don't have any of
No.
that. If anything, like, we'll start talking about work a little bit, and then my mom will come in and be like, "Hey, stop it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, let's not talk about work." So
Just for
that's
family. Yeah.
basically it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that sounds pretty good. There's a lot of family businesses that probably struggle with that a lot more, and yeah, they need maybe the enforcer to come in there and say, no, these are the topics we're allowed, these are the topics we're not allowed. So that's good for you guys. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, Blaine, like you're a young guy, you've been doing this a while. You successfully led a transition in the business or an expansion of the business out in Lethbridge here. What are some of those skills you think were ideal or certainly drove towards the success coming out to Alberta as well?
Like, you're asking, like, what led to coming out to Alberta,
Well,
or?
not even what led, but what made you successful when you got out here? What are some of those skills or attributes that you think helped with it drive that success?
Um, there was a number of things that led to success in Alberta. When I first moved out here, I moved out here 6 years ago, and it was really slow, obviously.
Hmm.
I joked around with people. I said, I'm starting a brand new old business
Yeah.
in a new location. Um, it was pretty rough at the beginning because I tried to talk to a lot of builders. They didn't know who I was,
Yeah.
and I was really new at the sales thing, trying to get that out there. But I think what's led us to where we are now, we've done quite a lot of business in the last few years, like lots. It's overwhelming, which
Yeah.
is a great problem to have. And I think what led to that was a combination of things. It was, one, me getting older and wiser, and learning from my mistakes. And then two, was just word of mouth was probably one of the biggest things, especially in a town like Lethbridge.
Hmm.
The more jobs we start doing, the more that starts compounding. People talk to each other, and before you know it, we have some builders under our belt. We have lots of previous clients. We have repeat clients, and like I said, it's just compounding. And obviously, there's still lots of room to grow. But yeah, I would say it's a combination of a lot of things. I wish it was one thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
because then I could just be like, yeah, we're going to focus on that and we're going to grow. Um, but
Yeah.
you could probably go on forever on what it takes to get busier, right?
Yeah. So kind of the biggest thing for you is really almost the time, and then you do some jobs, and then that expands out and builds those relationships. What was that timeline like from the point where you said, "Oh, we're not busy at all," to, "Oh, wait a second, this is actually a viable business now," and now you're quite busy.
Yeah. So for me, when I first moved out here, I was working remotely, for Kamloops, for BC jobs. So
Okay.
that's what I kept myself busy with, and
Yeah.
Lethbridge stuff was just kind of whatever I could get. Um, that was for about a year and a half to 2 years is what I did through that. And
Yeah.
COVID started within that time. So there was a lot of working from home.
Mhm.
Um, and then after about that 2 year mark, that's when things started picking up in Lethbridge. And we actually got a physical location, a brick and mortar, showroom. And that, I think, helped in solidifying our business, because one of the number one things that builders would ask me when I'd talk to them and say like, hey, you should check our stuff out. They'd say, where do I go? And I go,
Yeah.
well, online, I guess. You go to our
I'll
website.
drive my truck over to your place.
Yeah, you can come over to my house. I actually
Yeah.
did get a job like that once.
Okay.
Out in my neighborhood, there was a house being built a few blocks away. This was early days when I first moved here and I was really slow out here.
Yeah.
Guy was building his house and I came in and I said, hey, I do custom closets. He was nice. He chatted with me and
Yeah.
he said, well, where can I see him? And I'm like, I don't know, like you could come to my house. I have them all in my house. And he's like, sure, I'll be there in a half hour. And I was single at the time. I wasn't married. Like I was just batching it, right?
Yeah.
So I went back to my house and I'm furiously
Scrambled.
cleaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like vacuuming everything, lighting candles, doing like whatever I can.
Yeah.
And this guy came in, shook my hand. I showed him my closet and a whole bunch of closets in my house, and he took one look at it. He's like, yeah, let's do it. So that was one of the things that led to
That's
me
awesome.
knowing that we needed a showroom in Lethbridge because I'm
Yeah.
like, if that's how easy it is after someone sees the product,
Yeah.
I'm like, it's clearly worth the investment, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Do you see that like outside of the builders as well? Is that, let's say, the direct consumer type product? Do they want to see the showroom as well, or is that more builder base?
it's both. Honestly, I'd say more retail customers come into the showroom than builders
Okay.
do. Builders, they see what you do once and then they know.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas retail people, like they don't really know what they're getting into most of the
Mhm.
time.
Mhm.
So once they come to the showroom and they see it, they feel it, they're like, oh, this is actually good quality. Like I don't have to take a gamble
Yeah.
on this purchase.
Yeah. So give me the 30 or the 60-second pitch on why somebody should go with your setup versus the wire shelves. For a guy like me.
Sure. So our setup is adjustable. Wire shelves are not adjustable. They're all pinned into your wall. They put giant holes in your wall. So our stuff is based off a European kitchen hanging system. So it's a modular system, yet it's still custom. So yes, it's all adjustable. It is custom. So the way we design it fits exactly to our customer's needs. If our customer needs this many drawers, this much hanging, they want a certain specific thing in there, that's what we do. So I'd say one of the most valuable parts, other than the good material we use, is the design. And that's what's going to make the biggest difference is what's in here rather than just materials.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you guys use design software or hand
We
drawn, or
do.
what does that look like?
We do. We actually just upgraded this year to a new design software and we have all 3D rendering. So basically, after I send a initial quote to a customer, I'll have them over to the showroom. I bring it up on a TV and we'll go through their closet, like a walk-in closet, for example, and I'll bring them through that in real time so they can see what it'll look like. All the colors matching, a beige carpet on their floor, if they have that, like we can choose
Yeah.
all the different stuff. So that's made a huge difference because before we had that program, we were just doing kind of 2D elevation plans, which it's easy for a contractor to look at, but for your average
The end
Joe
user.
homeowner,
Yeah.
they might not understand what something is going to look like till you've installed it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would be one of those people, like I'm a visual guy, but if you put some 2D in front of me, like house plan and stuff, I can't see that. Give me
Yeah,
a 3D rendering of it. Okay. I get that.
yeah, you had to do some brain gymnastics before, whereas now the computer does it
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
And that design software, it works hand in hand with our CNC machine. So once I have
Okay.
it designed, the customer says, yes, all I do is click a button.
Okay.
Whereas
Is that,
beforehand, it
is that
took a
CAD
couple
based
hours.
then?
It is CAD based.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a huge program. Like I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I said, we just started it this year, so there's a lot to learn. I'm feeling really fluent in it now, though.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. It's awesome. How big is your team in Lethbridge? Is it just you and you run everything else out of Kamloops, or do you have a team here?
Yeah, so out here in Lethbridge, it's mostly me. I have an installer who works with me right now who's contracted out. So I
Yeah.
send him out on most installs and then I pick up.
Got it.
where he can't do those.
Yeah.
And then over in Kamloops, we have about 10 people working full time. So they have a few salesmen out there. They have, shop foremen, shop workers, and they have installers out there. It's quite a big operation in Kamloops. Like they do over 2 million a year in revenue.
Yeah.
So, and obviously that's where the business started, right? So they've got 35 years under their belt, whereas Lethbridge, we've got 6 years. So
yeah,
we'll get there eventually.
And like the shop staff that you're saying over in Kamloops, so you're manufacturing these in-house, and then if you're in Lethbridge, they're getting shipped out here. Is that right? They're custom built.
Yeah, that's how it is right now. In Lethbridge, we're planning on doing manufacturing in the near future. Like I'm thinking within the next 10 years, or sooner, getting our own operation out here. It's not, some people think that it's super expensive if we manufacture in BC. It's not. Like we eat the shipping cost, just so that we can keep that material coming out to Lethbridge for a fair price.
Yeah.
But yeah, our manufacturing facility it runs like a T. So
yeah,
it's nice to deal with.
Yeah. So you said, potentially in the next 10 years or whatnot, bringing some production out here. Is there any other expansion plans, or do you guys want to keep this fairly centralized to kind of the Kamloops and Southern Alberta markets?
We want to expand more. We actually have a guy who just started up the same thing I'm doing in Edmonton. His name is Noah, and he's worked with us for a few years. So he's starting where I started 6 years ago in Edmonton, but I think he might even be busier than I am with Edmonton, because there's a lot of people there. Whereas, Lethbridge is still growing.
Yeah. Smaller market.
But yeah, so right now we have Kamloops, Edmonton, and Lethbridge. But we would love to keep expanding if the money is there, right? And our kind of grand idea is to one day have Imagine the Room be a household brand.
Yeah,
that would be really cool, right? Just be like,
these
North
are Imagine the Room wide, or
and we compare ourselves to California Closets.
Yeah,
often, because California Closets, you ask most people and they know what that is. But yeah, we have a lot of similarities to them, but we're priced better.
Gotcha. Almost everything that I learned about closets, outside of what I've learned from you, has come from Modern Family.
Oh yeah.
He's in the closet business, and so I actually learned a lot about closets. Yeah, I learned a lot about closets. That's our competitor, I think, right? Closets.
Yeah.
I think that's our biggest competitor out there. Yeah. So obviously, like you came in, and a couple years into your journey out here, COVID hits, and that obviously has a big impact on people that are installing things in people's houses. Maybe a couple questions around that. Number one, how did that change the business? And secondly, and probably most important from a business standpoint, what did you guys do to maybe help weather that storm of some downtimes or tougher cash flow periods?
So COVID was a really weird thing for our business.
Yeah.
We felt horrible for businesses that shut down, that the government shut down. And what happened for us is we got incredibly busy. So we were really lucky, and we were considered essential because we were construction. So luckily we didn't have to shut down. Obviously, we took all the precautions, gloves, masks, all that when it came down to it. But we did some of the best business we've ever done through COVID. Like I said, it was really unfortunate for a lot of people. It was fortunate for us, but it was bittersweet because we didn't know what was around the corner. We were generating lots of revenue, but at the same time, if people aren't working, people are going to stop spending money. So we were always kind of on guard, like, what's going to happen next? Are people going to start pinching their pennies? Does that mean we're going to slow down? Luckily, things subsided after a couple of years there. But so it was kind of the opposite for us. We got super busy because everyone, wasn't traveling, and they decided they wanted to spend money on their houses.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a stat, and I'm hesitant to even voice it because I don't know the backing on the stat, but I heard that the average house owner spent over $12,000 in home improvements in the first 6 months of COVID. Again, I don't know where that stat came from, and so I can't back it up by anything, but it makes sense for a company like you guys that then you get busy because you look at your space and say, how can we make this more functional to live out of, maybe 24 hours a day in some cases during those early COVID months. But it's a good point on you don't know what's going to happen with the economy, and your product is one of those products where it's not food. You don't
Yeah,
need it to live, so it's kind of a luxury type of
it
product for
is.
sure,
It
right?
is. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
Mhm.
So, what do you think is on the horizon for you or the company, or what are some of the goals that you guys have coming up?
Yeah. So for us, we're always trying to talk to more home builders. Um, the reason is that we love, homeowners. They're great clients. The problem is they're most of the time they're one-time clients or
Yeah,
two-time clients, whereas a home builder is a repeat client for us, right? So, sorry, I'm just getting a call coming in. So yeah, I'm always trying to talk to more home builders and get them to know our product better. So that's what I'm aiming to do right now, and I want to have more home builders under my belt. And then also what we talked about with starting up manufacturing in the next 10 years or less.
yeah,
Um, we're at a location right now that we're renting out in Lethbridge, but we've outgrown it. Every time I bring a crate of closets in, we fill up the shop and it's
I put it.
overflowing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, so we've started filling up the showroom with jobs as we're prepping them and sending them out.
yeah,
So we're looking to get a bigger space. So that's kind of what's in the near future for us.
yeah, yeah. For you personally, like, have you ever read I don't know, a book or have a podcast, whether historically or recently, that's been influential in your journey and what you're creating?
Um, Nothing specific. I listen to a lot of podcasts. A lot of them are just garbage
Yeah.
that gets me through the day. But there is one podcast I've listened to. It's called "How I Built This," and
Okay.
it's. I'm sure you've heard of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's how a lot of big businesses came to be. That one I listen to occasionally, and it's really interesting to hear where people come from
Yeah.
before they have their big break,
Yeah.
right?
And
So
there's a
that's
book
one
about that
thing.
as well. There's a book about
Is
that
there?
as well, right? Yeah. I'm almost positive there's a book that goes along, like, was kind of the predecessor to the podcast. Now I'm gonna have to look it up, but I'm pretty sure there was.
Okay. I want to read more books. I just don't have time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I listen to podcasts. I just plug
Yeah.
them in. And I'm like, at least I can do something.
Yeah. They're
But
short,
yeah,
sweet, simple.
yeah. Other than that, it's just training with the company
Yeah.
is where I'm doing a lot of learning. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Now you guys are, as a family business, from the outside looking in, it seems like it's set up quite well from a succession point of view, and it looks like you guys have, you've looked at the growth projectives or sorry, perspectives ahead of you, and wanted to target that growth. But there are a lot of family businesses that don't succeed in passing it down generationally. What's maybe one of the tips that you can provide to somebody that is in that second generation and going through what I assume is a potential succession on your part coming up in the next however many years? What's a nugget of advice that you could provide to somebody looking to do that as well?
yeah. That's a good question. Because a lot of the time you see with family businesses, you'll have a kid come and take it over and they don't care that much.
Yeah.
They might care about making the money, but maybe they don't care about the business itself. It's like, well, dad did all the work, the business is here. I just have to
Yeah.
run
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
My bit of advice from what I've seen is you have to care. And it sounds really stupid to say, but you have to care about the product. You have to care about the people.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something my brother and I do very well. My brother does it a lot better than I do. Because he runs like 95% of what's going on
Yeah.
in Kamloops. So yeah, when it comes down to that, it's pretty simple. Just care. If you're the next generation in a family business, coming up and you don't care about that product, about that business, maybe it's not for you. If it's something that you want to make better, whether it's so you can make money or make people's lives easier or both, then that's the right thing for you. If you can make money doing that, that's great. But yeah, if you don't care, then do something else, because you'll run the business into the ground most likely, in my opinion.
Well, and it's something that the first generation builds up, and then it is a sad story when you see that the second generation or the third generation drive it to the ground, like you said there, because there's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears that goes into starting businesses. So you never want to see the negative outcome at the end of it, for sure.
Yeah.
So Blaine, if anybody wanted to learn more about what you do or get in contact with you, where would they be able to find you at?
Yeah, so we have a website. It's imaginetheroom.ca. And from there, you can go to the Lethbridge page or the Kamloops page, Edmonton page. Another great way to stay in touch with us is to follow us on social media. We have Facebook and Instagram for all three separate areas of the business. So there's Kamloops, Lethbridge, and Edmonton. So if you just look up Imagine the Room on Instagram or Facebook, you'll find us there.
Yeah.
And we post every day.
Awesome. So don't look up closets.
Well, depending on where you are, maybe we'll be at the top. So if you look up custom closets, Imagine the Room will probably be up there.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. That's good. Well, Blaine, I certainly appreciate your time today, and hopefully you have a good rest of your 2024, and looking to chat again soon.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a good rest of your day.
You too.
You've been listening to Beyond Wealth, Success Unscripted with Matt Calnan. Want to be our next guest? Visit beyondwealthpodcast.ca/guest. See you on the next episode.